Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
NBC News Radio. I'm Chris Caraccio. The release of all the files of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein isn't guaranteed, even with President Trump's signature. The Senate received the House passed bill this morning and immediately passed it on to the president for his signature. Although Trump has said he will sign it today, AG Pam Bondi would not commit to immediately releasing the files, citing a new case connected to Epstein. The federal case against former FBI Director James Comey could get tossed. Comey was charged in September with making a false statement to Congress and obstructing a congressional proceeding connected to the Trump-Russia election investigation. In a pretrial hearing today, the DOJ acknowledged the full grand jury was never presented with a final indictment, a procedural error that court insiders say imperils the case. Wall Street is closing with stocks in the green. It comes as investors are starting to temper their expectations for a December interest rate cut. At the closing bell, the Dow rose 47 points. The S&P 500 was up 25 points, and the NASDAQ increased by 131 points. I'm Chris Caraccio, NBC News Radio.
Oh, no. My phone.
Hear that? It's the sound of a skater dropping her phone and smashing it on the ice. Yep, it's definitely broken. But at Verizon, we got you. This holiday, trade in any phone, any condition from one of our top brands and get a new Samsung Galaxy S24 Plus on Unlimited Ultimate and Watch 7 and Tab S9 FE 5G. That's over $1,800 in value. So you'll save big on 3 great gifts. Only at Verizon. Service plan required for watch and tablet. Over $1,800 value based on phone, watch, and tablet. Trade in and additional terms apply. See Verizon.com for details.
Located in the heart of San Bernardino, California, the Teamsters Local 1932 Training Center is designed to train workers for high-demand, good-paying jobs in various industries throughout the Inland Empire. If you want a pathway to a high-paying job and the respect that comes with a union contract, visit 1932trainingcenter.org to enroll today. That's 1932trainingcenter.org.
Indy's Demolition in Huntington Park encourages listeners to shop small business and buy local. Buying from small businesses improves the health of our local economy and our nation. Jobs are created, homes enjoy stability, and local businesses support one another. So, before visiting the mega chains and internet super warehouses, think local and invest in your hometown. That important community reminder is from Indy's Demolition. Call 323-835-6710 for Indy's Demolition in Huntington Park.
This segment sponsored by our friends at the all-new Sammy's Restaurant. Sammy's is now open in Calamasa at exit 88 off the 10 freeway next to the Jack in the Box in the former Bob's Big Boy Restaurant. Not to name drop, but Sammy's in the former Bob's is a lot like Norm's. It has an extensive menu with multiple restaurants in Rialto and places like Upland and Rancho Cucamonga. Sammy's is a great place to dine. Their menu is very similar with their American trio of delicious steak, shrimp, and chicken, and an expansive menu. You won't go hungry and you won't go broke. broke at Sammy's. You can come meet Sammy and his family. Sammy was a chief cook for Norm's for years, and it shows in his menu. Sammy's is a great place to meet the family, friends, or have a community meeting. You can ask about their private meeting room, available for parties of 15 or more on a first-come, first-served basis. Sammy's is now open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day at 540 Sandalwood Drive off of exit 88 at the 10 Freeway in Calamasa. Look for the Big Boy statue. It's still there. We thank Sammy for returning to this station as a loyal sponsor. You can find more info about Sammy's at sammyscafe.net. That's sammyscafe.net, where you can also find discount coupons to save money. And by the way, Sammy's has free Wi-Fi too. Sammy's in Calamasa, Rialto, or one of their other locations are ready to serve you. Sammy's is now open in Calamasa.
Tehibo Tea Club's original Pure Pau de Arco Super Tea comes from the only tree in the world that fungus does not grow on. As a result, it naturally has antifungal, anti-infection, antiviral, antibacterial, anti-inflammation, and anti-parasite properties. So the tea is great for healthy people because it helps build the immune system, and it can be truly miraculous for someone fighting a potentially life-threatening disease due to an infection, diabetes, or cancer. The tea is also organic and naturally caffeine-free. A 1-pound package of tea is $49.95, which includes shipping. To order, please visit TehiboTeaClub.com. Tehibo is spelled T like Tom, A-H-E-E-B like boy, O, then continue with the word tea and then the word club. The complete website is TehiboTeaClub.com, or call us at 818-610-8088, Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. California time. That's 818-610-8088, TehiboTeaClub.com.
Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary, Treasurer, and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
We're back. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan on the Teamsters Local 1932 Broadcast Network. Longtime organizer, first-time radio host. Sorry I missed last week. Had to do something, wasn't here. And believe me, I'd have rather done the radio show than sitting in the classes that I had to sit in for as long as I did. But, you know, that's the way it is sometimes in this job. But it's good to be back. Hey, again, an exciting show. We got a lot going on, and there's a lot going on everywhere, I guess. But let me start with the live shout outs out there, right? Robert, we good?
Yeah.
I think my volume's a little bit down, Mark.
Is that better?
Yeah, I think that's a little better.
I can turn it up more.
No, I don't want you to turn it up more, but
give me some ringing in the ears.
Right. Hey, so live shout outs. We got another surprise for you in the middle of the show. We're gonna have a little bit of fun. I'm gonna pull a name in the middle of the show somewhere. Not gonna tell you where. Last show live, I pulled a name and that person wasn't listening in live at the time because had they called in 5 minutes, they would have got. I think we gave away a blanket last week, huh? This week we're giving away sweaters. So
that was a blanket,
but it was a blanket.
I thought it was a new car.
So I called a
new car.
Oh, can you imagine doing a new car? Yeah, I'll probably get in trouble if I did a new car.
Who
hey, live
paid for that?
Yeah, exactly. Live shout out: Susan Loftus, Sheriff's Department; Kirk Garrison, Bobby Ross, and Kirk. If you're listening live, I called you out last. You're the one I actually called out and didn't call in 5 minutes, so you missed your shot. But I know you do listen live a lot, so appreciate it. And I think what happened the last show, we actually had the ERC going on at the same time. So some of the people may have been trying to listen live while the ERC was going on, and there was a bit of an overlap there. Anyway, thanks for listening in, Kurt. Bobby Ross, Public Health. Connie Bottini from the library. Jessica Lambera, City of Grand Terrace. And it's our birthday today. Happy birthday. Joe McCowd from City of San Bernardino. Nani Thompson from ARMC. Lisa Vasquez from ARMC. Justin Griffith from ARMC. Sandra Hernandez from the Assessor's Office. ITD, Karen Tinsley. Kathleen Brennan. John Gutierrez, all listening in live. Redlands Tad, Patricia Marin. Georgina Martinez and Lupa Delatorre. Rialto Tad, Trish Flores, Fontana Tad, Rhea Griselis. Chaz Kelly, ARMC, Kim Knowlton, retired ARMC, Krista Hunter, ARMC. And I saw many of you last night at the membership meeting, and you got your turkeys, by the way. For those of you that missed the membership meeting last night, you actually missed getting a free turkey. Anyway, good showing. Anyway, we had right about 300 members attend. So we gave out turkeys. Jenny Hernandez, Public Health. Lorraine Robinson Tad. Say Hidul. Chowardri from ARMC. I probably butchered that, and I am. My apologies. Mierda Cordova from TAD. Jose Nunez, City of Coachella. Laya Glasgow from TAD 01. Warren Pennington, Kyle Monsoon from Desert Water Agency. Daniel Marburger. James Estrada, City of Redlands. James, you're listening in live again. Oh, it's good to have you back.
Who?
Yeah, exactly.
Who's that guy?
Who's that guy? Man, it's good to have you back, James. James is like, man, why I ain't getting my chops busted like this? Isaac Mara and Tony Soto, City of Colton. Abraham Pasalis from PSD. Vanessa, something just popped on the screen. Vanessa Farfan from Public Health. Katrina Cato. Jessica Magoon. Ania Maria Roche from Sheriff CDC. Lupe Delatorre from Redlands TAD. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody. Oh. No, it got moved over. Yeah, I called those out. Those are the live shout outs. And so guess what? Fifth caller right now, 909-889-8377. 909-889-8377. Fifth caller. You get a sweater. No blanket this week. Sweater. Call in. 909-889-8377. We'll find out who the winner is here in a minute. And at a certain point of the show, I'm going to call out somebody. I'm just going to pick somebody from this live shout out list. And if your name is called, you got a few minutes. We'll tell you how many minutes you got to call in, and you will get a sweater too. Somewhere in the middle of the show. Not going to tell you. That way you can't tune out and then tune back in and, trying to manipulate the game to get an extra turkey. I mean, to get a sweater. We had some people try to get extra turkeys last night, but hey, that's what happens. I always love the membership meetings where we do the turkeys because, it's the time of the year, it's Thanksgiving, and, it's good to see people come to the Union Hall. We try to have a quick meeting and then people hang out, and, it's just one of those cool things to. Kids will always tell the story that they remember around Thanksgiving going to the Union Hall and getting their turkey for the holiday. So, or for those of you that attended and you're listening right now, really appreciate you coming. If you didn't, make sure you make it next year. And it's always a crapshoot for us. We got to guess how many people are going to show up when we're ordering the turkeys for the membership meeting. And so, we're going to have a good show today. We got a lot of good guests, and really excited. Not to take anything away from the others, but I got a buddy from New York that's going to be tuning in at the end of the show. It's going to be on, works on our Amazon team, and talking about all the great work that's happening there in New York. Some really good stuff's happened there, and I'm really excited to have him on the show. So hopefully you're actually listening in live right now too, while the show's going on, because it's 6:00 back there right now. That's 3-hour difference. And hopefully he doesn't go to sleep early. I know the sun goes down early right now. So anyway, with that, Teamster job highlight. These are pretty cool. Pilots. A lot of people don't realize Teamsters not only drive trucks and do all this other cool stuff, but we also fly planes. And pilots are responsible for directly flying the aircraft, flying passengers or cargo. Teamster pilots are highly trained and are involved in the aircraft's flight systems. Airlines include, but not limited to, ABX Air, Allegiant Air, Atlas Air, Cape Air, GoJet, Horizon Air, Miami Air, Northern Air Cargo, Omni International, Republic, and Silver Airways. And I think we have the UPS pilots as well. Actually, I think we have more than what's here, but this is obviously just a good sampling of them. So, think about that. There's a ton of pilots that they're Teamsters, and we appreciate the work that they do. And that's a really tough job. That's a whole lot of responsibility when you think about it. And anybody who's ever flown on a plane, you look in the pilot's thing right there. We already have a winner. Yanair Hernandez from ISD listening in live. Thanks for listening in live. And that was quick. Boom. We have a winner right out the gate.
It's cold outside.
Right. People are like, I want my sweater. I wonder how long it's going to take her to come down and get the sweater. Anyway, pilots, you getting on the plane, you look to your left, you look down the aisle and you see the pilots in there and you see all those dashes and the dash, you see all those gauges and stuff like that. Complicated job, takes a lot of skill, and we appreciate the work that you do. Flight simulator techs too. We also represent those jobs. Teamsters are flight simulator techs. The flight simulator techs perform checks on equipment and instruments associated with the flight simulator. Airlines include Southwest Airlines, United Airlines, UPS. Teamsters locals representing both pilots and flight simulator techs include Locals 986 and Local 19, among others affiliated with the International Brothers of Teamsters Airline Division. And there are some locals, like local, I think it's 2727 in Joint Council 42. That is a all airline, either pilots or the flight techs, all in the same local. And it's actually a local just for them. That's, again, very specialized area and cool Teamster jobs. It's one of those, it's one of the parts of this show that a lot of people, when you're a fellow Teamster, you like to hear, that's interesting. That's something that another Teamster does out there. So the next part of the show, I always want to remind you, we do Teamster Tuesday. And if you would like to be highlighted, make sure you email us. Or if you'd like to complain about our show, or maybe you want to tell us how great our show is, any of the above. Radio show at teamsters1932.org. Don't forget, radio show at teamsters1932.org. And don't forget, we are live on KCAA 1050 AM, 106.5 FM. Live from San Bernardino, the radio station that never leaves a listener behind. Don't forget that. Every Tuesday, we highlight a member or member group on our social media to show the public that important work our members are doing. You can follow us at 1932 Teamsters on all platforms. This last Tuesday, we highlighted our Teamster brothers out of the San Bernardino County Yucaipa Regional Park. They are Jeffrey Hensley and Gabriel Cochis? Kosha? Okay, I messed up that. My apologies to you, Gabriel. These dedicated Teamster members keep our parks running, whether it be helping you at the front gate, the RV camping, the pools, or the lake to go fishing, and making sure that there's plenty of fish in there for you to catch. These gentlemen work hard to make you and your families visit a memorable one. Thank you, Jeffrey and Gabriel, and all of you that work in the parks. We know that there's actually, since there's been a change in the representation for those parks, we know that more of you are actually listening in. So, Pete, we really appreciate you promoting the show with those that are at the parks. And we know that more people at the parks are actually listening in live and participating. So we did a nice little shout out and a focus on Teamster Tuesday of those jobs. And that's a pretty cool job. We really appreciate you doing. Fun fact is the next part of the show, Labor Fact, brought to you by the San Diego Labor Council. This one is the NFL player strike that finally came to an end November 16th, 1982. So you're talking almost exactly 43 years ago. I remember this strike as a kid. I was only 11 at the time. I do remember it. Mark, on the other hand, I think he was 35.
Rude. Robert.
Robert wasn't existent, right? He is a 2000s baby, right? You weren't even born in the 1900s. Right. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird?
You're making me feel old.
Right. I was in my mom's stomach during 9/11. Yeah, your mom was pregnant with you during 9/11. Interesting. Like, yeah, like it's always kind of crazy when you think back now that 25 years into the 2000s, because it's clearly 2025, that there's a lot of people now that the 1900s they weren't born in the 1900s. So it's like, it sounds like a lost century. We were born before the turn of the century. Anyway, right. Anyway, the NFL player strike happened, and on November 16th, 1982, the NFL players ended their 57-day strike, the longest in the U.S. pro sports at the time, Back then, players had almost no rights, no free agency, low pay, limited benefits, and they couldn't even choose their own doctors. The NFL Players Association fought for a bigger share of the league profits, fair salaries, medical protections, severance, and more. Owners responded with a lockout. Yeah, sport where people are literally gladiator sport, literally killing themselves on the field, and these greedy corporate interests and owners, it's just incredible how they don't want to share the wealth. And I think it's funny now, you see how much these players are making, and those teams are still raking it in like crazy, and they still want to try to villainize the players. I'm sorry, these players throw down for a very short period of time. And after 57 days, players secured a $1.3 billion deal. Oh, at the time, thanks, Carlos, for adding this. At the time, Gene Upshaw, out of the Raider Hall of Fame, he was a Raider Hall of Famer, was the Players Union president. So, thanks for pointing that out. Yeah. Hey, Carlos, I know you're a Raider fan. I also got to point out that Howie Long crossed the picket line. So, that Fox analyst guy that everybody loves, don't forget, he did that. Anyway, after 57 days, players secured a $1.3 billion deal and included a minimum salary, better medical rules, severance pay, and access to their own doctors. It also paved the way for future gains, including free agency in 1993. The lesson: whether you're an NFL player, a housekeeper, an electrician, or a public worker, anyone who earns a paycheck is a worker. That's a very good reminder. Real power comes from standing together in solidarity as how we build an economy where all workers can thrive. And so thank you, San Diego Labor Council, for bringing us that fun fact. And also thank you, Carlos, for reminding me that Gene Upshaw was absolutely the president at the time for the Players Association that helped lead the workers, the players, through a time that really a transitional time for sports players to make sure they get a bigger share of the pie, and that make sure they get a bigger piece of the action. So, really, really appreciate you pointing that out. And Carlos is like, I knew you were going to say that. But hey, again, thank you for pointing out Gene Upshaw, though. I think it's really important to recognize, at the time, he there was a ton of pressure on the presidents of the players unions, whether it was Major League Baseball, football, or any of the sports, basketball in the 80s, because there was a lot of anti-union rhetoric going on, and there was incredible pressure being put on individuals like Gene Upshaw. So thank you, Gene, for what you did. And obviously Raider fans are obviously proud of that fact, that Raider Hall of Famer. And again, thanks again to the San Diego Labor Council for bringing us that fun fact, that fun labor fact. And don't forget, every time you see Howie Long, he was a scab. He crossed that picket line. You got something? Live shout out? Got an additional live shout out. Elizabeth Dodo. Did I do that right? Yeah. Thank you. Elizabeth, thank you for, and hopefully she bugged somebody.
Yeah, she emailed us right
now. And Peter says those guys and gals at the parks are rock stars. They're awesome. I would agree with you. They kill it. They're phenomenal. They always have a great attitude too. Anytime we're out there, they have a great attitude. So, we have our next guest already in the waiting room, and we're ready to plug them in. Am I running late already? Have I been rambling on here just a little bit? Yeah. So we have Adam from the Young Democrats of America coming on the show. And I was on his show. We'll talk about that later on after we introduce him, let him introduce himself here in a minute. But Adam, we really appreciate you coming on the show. We really appreciate you coming on the Worker Power Hour. And we were on your show, man, a few months back, and I thought I had a really good time with it. And why don't you introduce yourself, and let me get the screen fixed here so that
Sure. Well, first, thank you so much for having me on, Randy. I also just want to get something out there. I have a bit of a cough, so if you hear some hacking on the other end, I apologize. But no, thank you so much for letting me on the show. Right now, I am, as you said, I'm Adam Chaikof. I am chair of the Young Democrats of America Labor Caucus. So just to provide some background for your listeners, Young Democrats of America, YDA, is the youth wing of the Democratic Party. So we represent all Democrats ages 14 to 36. And so within YDA, there are a number of constituency and issue caucuses. So you have the Black Caucus, the Women's Caucus, LGBTQIA Caucus, Jewish Caucus. And so with the Labor Caucus, our job, at least as I see it as chair, is to I guess, forge stronger ties between YDA and organized labor, but also to advocate, and more importantly, to advocate for organized labor and for a pro-worker agenda within YDA to ensure that both YDA and our party as a whole lives up to our stated pro-worker values. So.
No, and I think it's important to really showcase some of these things where whether you're a Democrat or Republican or any party, there should be a caucus inside of them that figures out what it can do to better partner with labor. Number one, right? Number two, and bring that advocacy and that message on why labor is important.
Absolutely.
Sometimes in the political party, clearly labor gets lost in the politics of a big country like ours. So why don't you talk a little bit about some of those things that you are doing to help make sure labor is not lost in this space? Because some of us in labor feel like, the politics have left workers behind. And man, there's been some shots taken at labor lately with a lot of collective bargaining been lost when it comes to workers having the right to collectively bargain. And we need to make sure these corporate interests don't have complete control of this country.
No, absolutely. Especially, it's definitely it's a challenge for labor to be heard, especially when your politics is being flooded with a sea of big money. I will say that. But what the Labor Caucus is trying to do, at least what we've tried to do, at least in my first biennium as chair, all the chairs are elected for 2-year terms. So I was reelected to my second term at our convention in Philadelphia back in July. But in my first term as chair, really focused on really highlighting labor issues, and whether it's important strikes, for instance, when we had, when you had Hollywood workers going on strike back in 2023, we held an event with SAG-AFTRA, WGA to really highlight the issues that were driving this strike, as well as explain how Young Democrats across the country can get involved, especially for those who live in areas where there are active strikes or picket lines. We did the same thing for the Big Three auto workers strike with the UAW. And then also we've worked out highlight important pieces of legislation, particularly on the state level, that impact workers. For instance, this is actually a while back when I was vice chair of the caucus. We partnered with the California Young Dems Labor Caucus, and I'll actually get into the state caucuses later, to hold an event on the Fast Recovery Act. So we partnered, that was to create sectoral bargaining for fast food workers. We held a joint event with SEIU and a number of other labor experts like Harold Meyerson and Steve Greenhouse to explain why is sectoral bargaining such a huge deal in the labor movement? What would this legislation mean if it's passed, and what can Young Democrats, especially those in California, can do to support this legislation? Now, again, I was talking about when I mentioned the state labor caucuses, there is only so much at least we can do on the national level. A lot of the work is being done really on the state level, since like you do have state, like almost every state has like a Young Democrats chapter. And within those chapters, many of them have caucuses. So, there's like a strong labor caucus for the California Young Democrats. There's strong ones even in like one of the strongest ones I've seen is in North Carolina, which, despite being a southern state, a right to
Right.
work.
Yeah. You actually got to point that out, right? Despite being a state that you would normally think wouldn't have that strong of a caucus, apparently that group is doing a really good job of advocating and creating the
Oh yeah.
connections that need to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, especially like in a historically hostile environment, but they're really making waves there. So I know, like I was like before I was chair of the Young Democrats of America Labor Caucus. I was actually chair of the Virginia Young Democrats of Labor Caucus. I'm currently in Northern Virginia, and like we held events like we held like a couple of like how to organize your workplace 101s. It's like you do have a lot of people in the Young Democrats who are passionate about labor, who are interested, but they don't really know where to get started when it comes
Right.
to
And then
unionizing
making the
programs.
connection of just simply being a supporter of labor versus helping workers organize so they can get under a collective bargaining agreement, right?
Absolutely. And I think I think with the other issues, like you do have a lot of people who, again, this does not describe everyone within the Young Democrats, but I would say generally speaking, YDA attracts a lot of people who you would describe as like well-educated professionals, many people who, whether they work in nonprofits or not, they, I guess, don't think of themselves as workers, but as you said earlier, like if like anyone is a worker, like if your work, like no matter whether you're like,
Unless you're a
punching a clock or
millionaire and you don't have to work, you're a
yeah,
worker, right? Right.
absolutely. So like, you had like a lot of people like in sectors, especially like, nonprofits or like other like traditional, professional sectors who think like, oh wait, like, I was told like, I could, if I just, went to school, did everything right, that I would just be such a hot commodity that I wouldn't need like to unionize people, but employers would be like fighting over me. Like, no, unfortunately, that's not the case anymore. Like, especially now, especially for a lot of young people. So you do see like a lot. So what I saw was like, there's a lot of like interest in the labor movement among young people, especially in YDA. So I want to give them like a direction, like give them training and a direction towards, how they can like take action on their own in their workplaces. And I'm hoping to replicate that kind of training nationally as YDA Labor Caucus chair.
Well, and
But
I think
yeah,
what people would like to hear is you talked about the activities that demonstrate that what the caucuses are doing to show that they are doing something with labor. What like can you give an example of what some of those things actually are? I think you pointed to the issue with SEIU. Are there other ones that like maybe that North Carolina group may have done that you can point to say, hey, this is what separates them as being, very active and effective?
yeah, no, I will say like when it comes to what's been happening, at least with North Carolina, like I know like they've been like on the front lines, especially like organizing protests, whether it's like sending people to picket lines for again like the GM, like the big three auto worker strike, or to let's say protest when like like in North Carolina, like in Charlotte, there's been like a number of like ICE raids that have affected people there. So I know their caucuses made sure that they've have like members and bodies out there when it comes to protests or strikes or pickets. So it's like at least making sure that there's like an active presence at at labor actions. And I know like good. Keep going.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that demonstrates your commitment to labor is that you guys unionize the DCCC. And for those that
Yes.
don't know what the DCCC is, why don't you explain that real quick?
So this was like separate from my role in YDA, but like
I mean, in
back
other words, you
in
became organized, you became union, right?
yes, we did. No, this was during the 2022 election cycle. So for those who don't know, the DCCC, Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, is it's like so you have it's sort of like the campaign arm of the Democratic Party that focuses on House races. So you have the DSCC, Democratic Senatorial Campaign Committee, that focuses on Senate races, DGA, Democratic Governors Association, that focuses on governors. You get the picture. So back in 2022, so this is like well, I started working in 2021 there as a research analyst, and this was I guess coming out of the pandemic. So along as you saw like across working America, there was like a renewed interest in organized labor, especially as we were as people were talking about how they were like essential workers. Oh, your work is so valued, but then when you get back to work, you don't really get what you were promised. But at least what happened within the D trip specifically, what motivated me to just to first talk about my role. I was kind of like on the union steering committee, or the organizing committee when it was like in its embryonic form. And then as we were negotiating our first contract, I was on the bargaining committee. And so what happened was, well, first I noticed when I first started working at the D trip, the pay that I was getting I was getting slightly less than I was on unemployment. So that was a case, especially for a lot of people coming out of the pandemic. It's okay, why bother going back to work then? And I also noticed there was a recruitment crisis for going on at the D trip at the time, where because again, especially coming out of the pandemic, inflation was surging, the cost of living was going so high, and wages and pay weren't keeping up. So you were seeing people turn down jobs at the DCCC to go work at Kmart or something like that. So that was not only causing us to be short staffed, it was putting a big strain on the D trip staff that was already there. I know one example that I was seeing, you had a lot of our Hispanic and Latino employees who, again, they were not hired as translators, but basically the D trip was oh, we're short staffed. We need someone to translate this material into Spanish. So on top of what you're doing, we want you to do this as well. So one of their demands, at least when we finally unionized, was either you hire a translator or you pay us overtime for that.
Yeah, or pay a premium or a subsidy as a result of doing the extra work. And I think that what's great about this discussion is that obviously there's a ton of money in politics, right?
Yes,
there's just a ton of money that gets piled up in this cash, and then
Mhm.
as usual, everybody sits down and looks at something like this and goes, "Well, let's break it up and give the workers a little bit of money." It's wait a minute,
Yeah.
you got plenty of money that's going around, and you need to give the individuals that are making sure these campaigns are operating, and that applies to
Absolutely.
Republicans too. Now, they're straight up, the Republicans didn't organize, but I know a lot of pieces of the Democratic Party, these machines, not all of them, but a lot of pieces actually organized like you did, and then the campaigns recognized, those institutions recognized and sat down and got collective bargaining agreements, and then changed the conditions like you pointed out, which I think is really good to point out.
Yeah, no, I think I know we unionized with Teamsters Local 238. I'm sure you know Jesse Case.
Oh yeah, I know Jesse really well, right?
Oh no, Jesse's great.
I was jealous. I was like, Jesse, how come you get him and why don't we? Anyway, yeah.
No. We went with Jesse because it's 238 unionized Biden's campaign. So when we sat down we were thinking, okay, which union do we go with? When we spoke with Jesse, he already seemed to know all the nuts and bolts of how to unionize a political campaign, especially since he did with Biden's campaign in 2020. And plus, I think it was actually one added benefit. It's 238's based out of Iowa. Sorry, it's based out of Iowa. But most of the D trip, we had employees across the country. Many of us were in DC. But one added benefit with unionizing with 238 was that it was not based in DC. And let me explain why that was a benefit. It was that one thing that we were a lot of people were very nervous about going into contract negotiations is that a lot of jobs in politics are based out of relationships. It's who you know, what they think of you.
Yeah, the
and so,
relationships are separated there, so it's a true advocacy for you. That's right.
Yeah. So we were thinking so some people were thinking oh what are we jeopardizing our own prospects if we get too aggressive? And Jesse was look, I don't know these people. Well, he actually knew their the D Trip's lawyer because he was Biden's campaign lawyer. So that was one exception. He was look, I don't know these people. I don't need to know them. I don't need to have a relationship with them. So if you want someone to play bad cop, if you want someone to pound their hands their fists on the table, I'm your guy. So no, that was definitely that was a very that was definitely a role that Jesse really shined in. But one thing, at least, that really stuck with me is that when it came to organizing campaign workers, he said I always love organizing campaign workers because it's you go up to them, it's wait a minute, you want us to go reach out and talk to our coworkers and make them an ask to do a specific action. We do that with strangers all the time.
Yep.
So like it's like one push and off we go.
Yeah, Jesse's definitely got a history of being a great organizer. He does a great job. Hey, if you don't mind, can I shift gears real quick? So first of all, I'm
Sure, sure, sure.
glad that you guys were Teamsters through that process. I think it's
Mhm.
phenomenal. We're obviously very proud of that and glad that this is shared here and fully recognize that it was good to see some parts and mechanisms of the political process were actually organized, got collective bargaining agreements, and some of them were actually Teamsters. So again, one
Yeah,
of those
largest
proud.
bargaining unit in the Democratic Party.
That's correct. That's correct. That's awesome. We only got here about 10 minutes or so left in this segment. And I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, but some time ago I came on your show and we discussed stuff going on around Amazon. I was really curious to know, how you felt that discussion went and did it help your group, the information that we shared and kind of the challenge we issued at the same time of, just kind of bringing the awareness of what these workers are doing. Were you able to take anything back away from that?
Absolutely no. Like just also for background, like like Randy, you like the show. It was like a virtual panel on like organizing the Bezos behemoth, as we put it. So we had people, we had Randy, we had people like organizing Amazon and Whole Foods, and I guess like there were a few like takeaways at least I got um, from that segment. One was just like how many things like you would assume would be taken for granted that like a lot of these workers, especially in Amazon, have to fight for. Like I remember one Amazon worker was talking about how they had to go on strike to have the right to wear pants. Like things like Amazon, like they made
Right.
them wear shirts. I'm like, I never thought I'd have to say this, but pants are a human right. It's like of all the things to have to fight for, like that's just it's like
Or or just the
basically
simple
put
fact, yeah, just the simple fact that getting Amazon to recognize that they are responsible for these drivers, right? Like you're wearing an
absolutely.
Amazon uniform in an Amazon van with Amazon equipment coming out of an Amazon facility and Amazon saying, "They're not ours." I don't know what to tell you. We're not
Yeah,
responsible.
no, it's cowardice to say the least.
Yeah,
I guess
absolutely.
and like some of the things that I think we took away was one, uh, really, I think you stress like the power of like member to member organizing, especially when it comes to organizing workplaces. It's like a lot of these Amazon strikes were sort of spearheaded by like you had Amazon workers on the ground talking to other Amazon workers, and that got the ball rolling. It wasn't as if there was like this outside intervention; it came directly from the workers. I think like especially like in a cynical age that we're living in now, like where people are like like suspicious about like whether it's like big institutions or outsiders, the most powerful force when it comes to spurring an organizing campaign are your coworkers, are your friends and neighbors, people you know and trust. And also I think another thing that this is actually something that we really are like planning on doing something around this later, but remember you said like with like especially like corporate America having like gamed our current system of labor laws, and with like with the NLRA, National Labor Relations Act, under siege, especially now like in the courts, that we're going to now like workers more than ever going to have to rely on the strike. Like that is going to be like a powerful tool, the most powerful tool that we have in our arsenal, whether you're union or not, because like we may not be able to like to count on the law to save us, especially now with like the NLRB completely paralyzed. So like soon after that, I actually reached out to my counterpart of the DNC. The DNC has a labor council. It's led by Stuart Applebaum, who's head of RWDSU. I said like, hey, it looks like the NLRA could be under threat, especially by the Supreme Court. Like if the court does something unthinkable, like if it like neuters it or strikes it down, like do you want something to be like we should have something like ready to go, both as like the DNC Labor Council and as a labor caucus, in terms of like, okay, well, what can we do now? What can workers do now? What can we as a party do now to help fix our labor laws and to help support workers in the meantime? I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does, and I think the point I want to make in relation to that is, and you slightly touched on it here for a second, is that workers have the power. Workers have the
Mhm.
ability to withhold their labor. Workers have the right to direct action. They have the right to assemble. They have the right to come together. They have the right to withhold their labor. They have the right to strike. They have a right to do all these things, and for some reason, there's been this sort of absence of that either acknowledgement or knowledge of it, or the workers knowing that they can enter that space, workers knowing that they absolutely can do stuff like that. And it's legal for them to do it. It's absolutely legal for them to do it. So I think what's important for us to reiterate is and not just reiterate, but acknowledge and celebrate those workers that are throwing down, that are like, all right, I've had enough, and we're going to take a stand, much like you saw thousands of them last December do exactly what we're talking about right now, right? And it captivated millions of people in this country. Were like, man, this is incredible what these workers are doing. One, and two, the other thing that happened is that millions of people in this country realized that Amazon's business model was incredibly disgusting and dangerous and bad. But then that inspired those workers, and that more workers need to know that they're safe in that space.
Absolutely. And I think one thing that at least I've seen and this is, I think, one thing that I think events like the one I hosted with you really helped when it comes to inspiring our members, is that a lot of young Democrats or young people today, especially if they live outside of like traditional sort of labor strongholds, like, the Northeast or Midwest, like if they live in the South, like I grew up in Atlanta, where like a lot of them may not come from labor families. So, or like in my case, like it was my grandparents and great grandparents who were active in the labor movement. But for a lot of people who don't come from like labor families or from traditional like labor areas, like this is all new in terms of discovering like, wait, we actually do have rights.
That's
We
correct.
do, like, yeah, we can unionize, we can go on strike, even if like, we're not used to thinking of ourselves as workers. So like by seeing inspiring examples, like especially from these Amazon workers, I was hoping to at least show members of, especially from my caucus, that no, you do have the power. Like this is essentially like we're in a position where we have to learn the lessons that our forebears in the labor movement had to learn over a century ago.
Yeah, and because there'd been a lot of success for workers over a period of time, there was this distance that happened in the acknowledgement or knowledge of the fact that or reality that workers can be that assertive in this space. And I think that as aggressive as things have been recently and some of the attacks on labor, workers are now realizing that they're just going to have to be in that space. Like that's the only thing that's going to hold corporate America's attention. Corporate America is just going to ignore the law, ignore their obligation. But what will absolutely bring them to the table and bring reasonable conditions is workers saying, I'm withholding my labor until you fix it. Period.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I think it's, as I said, like it's a lesson that like a lot of people, especially in the kinds of people that YDA attracts, are going to have to learn. It's like it's one reason why, at least one thing that I'm working on now as Young Democrats of America Labor Caucus chair, it's like at least my first term I focused a lot on like sort of education, or like when it comes to like educating like existing YDA members on like, okay, this is what unions are, this is what these are the rights you have. Now what I'm trying to do is like really focus outward. It's like, so I'm trying to create new partnerships. Like a lot of unions have, I guess, sort of youth divisions, or like under 18, I mean under 35 divisions. Like we have like a new partnership with like IBW Renew, reaching out to like SEIU Rise, USW Next Generation, to like forge stronger ties, whether it's like on the national level with the Young Democrats of America Labor Caucus, or with these state Young Democrats Labor Caucuses, to forge stronger ties with these youth divisions. Because on the one hand, it's showing at least it's all about like going to areas that I think have been lost for far too long to our party, like a lot of people who are not college educated, not professionals, people who we as Democrats are essentially supposed to fight for, who feel left behind. So it's one, going into these areas to try to at least listen to and understand what a lot of these people want, what they want to see from us as YDA or as a party, and then also to see what lessons that we can learn from them, especially when it comes to organizing our own workplaces.
Right.
So that at least is one thing I'm really focusing as Labor Caucus chair.
Well, Adam, as we wrap up this segment, first of all, really appreciate you coming on our show. Obviously, you're welcome anytime. Appreciate you having me go into your space and talk about some of the work that we're doing.
Well, we're delighted to have you.
Yeah, and I'm always willing to get into any space and kind of try to agitate people to support what these workers are doing, or obviously agitate other workers or agitate elected officials or, quite frankly, agitate anybody to start moving.
We all need to agitate.
Yeah, we absolutely do. Is there anything you'd like to close on behalf of the Young Democrats of America and the Labor Caucus within it? Really, again, appreciate the work that you do in regards to connecting to labor. Is there anything like
Sure. Well, yeah. Like, so if anyone's listening who is like within the age range of the Young Democrats, I will say that if you want to get involved with the YDA Labor Caucus or figure out if your state has a Labor Caucus or if they don't, if you want to help start one, you can always email me at labor@yda.org. Again, that's labor@yda.org. I'm always open. Please let me know if there's anything like I can do to support you, whether it's getting involved in the in the National Young Democrats, or if you want to get involved with the state level Young Democrats, or frankly, like, again, really get a state like Young Democrats Labor Caucus started in your state, because as I said before, there's only so much that we can do on the national level. A lot of the work in terms of on the ground, whether it's supporting strikers, organizing campaigns, or holding elected officials' feet to the fire, a lot of that is done on the state and local level.
That is right. And more can be done. Unfortunately, what happens is that there's so much emphasis put on federal law or national policy that the local electeds or state electeds have a tendency to forget that there's things that they can do to put policy in place to protect these workers that live and work in our communities. Adam, really appreciate you coming on the show. Really appreciate the time that you spent. Appreciate the relationship and partnership that you have. Really like what the Young Democrats of America are doing with their labor caucus. Thanks for coming on the show, and have a good one.
You too. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm actually not going to take a break. I'm going to roll right into our next part of the show, which is James Bites Back. James is sitting down. Let me make sure I get him. It's panned in here on the camera. James, it's been a bit, man.
It's been a while.
I guess got to shift gears here, like right away. We got somebody jumping in here. What's going on? While they fix all that.
How you guys been?
What's up, man? You've been eating at a lot of places?
Oh, my God. So many places. A lot. I feel like it's been a while since I've been here.
It has been. It's been a bit, right?
We went on vacation, came back. And
Did you come in September? Were you here in September?
No, I don't think I was.
No,
I think it's been a couple months or a month and a half.
Well, it'd be a bit. So why you gotta rub it in my face that I went on vacation?
Are you kidding? I'm jealous you went on vacation. Right. International foods, baby.
That's right. That's actually, yeah. Seeing that you're the foodie that you are, you would have definitely loved Greece's food. I can tell you that right now.
A lot of olive oil.
Yes, a lot of pasta. I was really surprised at how much pasta, how much bread, and how much all of it. And I never felt bloated. I actually lost weight.
Can I ask you something? Is Greek pasta a lot different than Italian pasta? Like a lot of not so much.
No, very similar. It's very similar. Yeah. From what I understand, it's very similar. I've never been to Italy to actually eat it, but the region seems to really adopt that same pasta.
The reason I wanted to find out,
there was a lot of Italian food in Greece.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to find out because I'm curious to see what Italian food was like before tomatoes. Tomatoes are indigenous to Mexico and Central America. So there was a period in history that the Italians didn't know what a tomato was.
A lot of pasta dishes, I can tell you while I was in Greece, didn't really have a tomato base to it.
That's good.
It had, a garlic base, oil base, butter base, there were other bases for it. Yeah, cheeses. Actually, not a lot had tomatoes in it.
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah.
Anyway. See what the region had before.
All right. So what are you gonna add to where have you been? What have you done? And you guys were at 3 Iron Brewery.
Yeah.
You had a big crowd there, a week ago?
Yeah, it was probably about a week and a half ago.
Week and a half ago.
Yeah. It was one of the pieces that I'm going to review is 3 Iron Brewery. I know you guys had them on the show.
$5 beers, right?
Yeah, it was Thursdays.
And those weren't small beers.
They're pints. Full pints.
Yeah.
So, Mark, you had what, 2 beers?
1.5
at a time.
Yeah. We have a little interview that we did on Facebook on
really
talk
not
about the
important.
app. I think I was 6 deep at that point.
Yeah, and I heard you guys ate them at a pizza too, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't even get a chance to taste it.
Oh, so you can't do it.
You didn't get pizza?
I didn't get pizza.
How's that possible?
It was gone. Well, I had my bread in liquid form and beer.
Lots of yeast?
Yeah, jeez. Like I said, they had a coffee beer that was really good.
Really, a coffee?
Yeah, it was coffee flavored, and I liked it. I told
God,
Mark
that sounds horrible.
I was going to have it for breakfast.
It was heavy.
I can't.
It was heavy.
This sounds horrible.
No, it was actually pretty good.
Okay,
it was pretty good. So, 3 Iron Brewery. When he was here, he said that it was like a Cheers environment. So I was kind of looking forward to that, but a little bit afraid of it, just for the simple reason that.
Hold on, live shout out Ryan Franking from Arizona, and then also great time at 3 Iron Brewery. By the way, someone just came in live. Anyway.
Excellent, that's awesome. So I was a little skeptical because I'm always afraid when there's a lot of locals, they kind of make newcomers not feel welcome. This was a total opposite. The owner sat down with me and my wife, started chopping it up. We were just having a good old conversation. He had his dog running around, sat in his lap. We were just talking about life, pets, and everything in between. He didn't know who I was. He was just a nice, friendly guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very welcoming environment, which I definitely recommend people to try and check it out. They have very unique beers. They have, I know I said seltzers. They have seltzers. So a couple of flavored seltzers.
You have any teas?
They had pumpkin flavored beer. Pumpkin teas. No, I didn't.
Like a cider-ish?
No, they didn't have. Yeah, they had a cider.
They had a cider?
Yeah.
Usually they have a cider like a brewery.
I didn't see a cider
or a tea.
I know they had seltzers. That's what
they
it
had
is.
a seltzer.
A couple seltzers. And then I didn't get a chance to try it, but I think they have a beer Rita, I think they called it. It's a margarita beer combination. I didn't get a chance to try that one out, but it's a very friendly environment. I enjoyed the company of the owner. He didn't know who I was, and then he saw Mark and I doing a little snippet. And he's like,
"Now you're the review guy."
And then he's all like, "Well, he's all like, I do the reviews." He's all like, "You do?" I'm like, "Yeah." But like not knowing that, he was still friendly, and
we got our own Huell Hauser.
I just want to say Bob went out of his way that night to take extremely good care of us.
Bob was the guy who came on the show.
Yeah,
right?
he was there. Him and his wife were hands on. The kids were
and
there.
They've been a partner since day one with us, right?
Yeah. They were one of the first ones to sign up.
Yeah, no questions asked.
It was great.
Awesome.
I heard the pizza was good. Everyone was raving about the pizza. I just didn't.
It was very good. They were making it right there.
So real quick, breaking news. Katrina, Cato, you got 4 minutes to call in. 909-889-8377. You get a sweater. If you're listening in live and you're still listening, you got 4 minutes to call in. 4 minutes, Mark it. Got to call in. 909-889-8377. You get your sweater. Sorry.
That'll be $3.59.
Okay,
just before the top of the hour.
And another place that I want to go check out is Uncle Howie's Pizza in Redlands.
You went and checked them out?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
we've had a lot of functions there over the years, and I've had that too.
You've had Uncle Howie's?
Mm-hmm.
Good pizza, great chicken wings. Like, I really did love the chicken wings.
Do you have some in the green room to bring in?
The
you
wings
brought some,
are.
right?
I do remember. You're right. The wings are excellent there.
No, yeah, they sell.
You're right. And I think the wings are better than the pizza. The pizza's good, but you're right. The wings really stand out.
They did. So I went with a couple buddies, and we're like, "Hey, I'll get the next round." We weren't talking about beer. We were talking about wings. Like, we're getting the 50-piece wings, and there were 3 of us just going to town on wings because they were so good. I mean, the sauce that they use is just a simple buffalo sauce, but it was still great. Chicken wings. Pizza's really good, but definitely go for the wings.
And I love it when they don't overcook the chicken wings,
No, they were great. There was a good piece of chicken.
So, and where's Howie's? They're in Redlands, right?
They're in Redlands, and they offer a 10% off for Teamster Advantage members. And I also checked out Molly's Cafe right down the street.
Oh, how was
in
Molly's?
San Bernardino.
Yeah, we eat Molly's all the time around here. So
it's a good diner.
We're a bit biased.
No, it's a really good diner. I had the meatloaf open face sandwich, which I love meatloaf. I don't know, meatloaf's still a thing, right?
Yeah.
I love meatloaf. Taters, it was really, really good. I really did enjoy that. I also tried the pastrami a different time that I had gone. Pastrami sandwich is nice, good, thick.
So meatloaf open face sandwich. That's obviously the meatloaf sitting on a piece of bread.
What
kind of bread was it?
White bread.
Just regular white bread.
Regular white bread, mashed potatoes, gravy, smothered. So
you know, this guy, he doesn't go for the light stuff.
I'd be sleeping in the corner.
Right. It's like, boom, let me get the stuff that's gonna put me to bed.
Well, I'm already sleepy all the time. What's a little more? You know what I mean? I'm already tired, so one sandwich isn't gonna push me over like.
James, I love this. James
He wants
bites
the
back.
high carb meal.
Yeah, I gotta do meatloaf,
open faced meatloaf sandwich.
Yeah, with potatoes and gravy and
I'm
everything.
getting sleepy thinking about it.
Really? What do you guys do for lunch around here?
Ceviche, salad.
Oh yeah, no lies.
No.
So Jenny just emailed us, and she's helping out James here. Cheese-based sauces, the most common. Early pasta was often tossed with aged cheeses, fresh cheese, butter and cheese. Some are modern. I can't pronounce that right now, but the fresh cheese is like a ricotta. So, Jenny, thanks, man.
Thanks, Jenny. Now I know exactly.
I love this interaction. See, you ask for something, and we don't have to go on the internet and find it. Somebody else did and send it to us via email. So you got an answer what the the pre-tomato stuff was. We got about a minute.
I have an edit on what we have for lunch around here. It's whatever Annabelle likes.
Yeah, very true. Right.
What was for lunch today?
Ceviche.
Oh yeah, good choice. Good choice.
Yeah, you can typically never go wrong with ceviche, other than somebody who says they're allergic.
You say Robert. You say you're allergic.
They're not. He's a liar.
Robert, you got 1 minute to argue.
Just say I don't like it.
Yeah.
He's like he tried to say I'm allergic to it, what he doesn't realize is I know his tell already.
I know Randy's too.
Whatever. That's not true, but that's okay. And I immediately called him out and says, "You're not allergic. You're lying. You just don't like it. It's okay to say I don't like it."
Yeah, it's fine to say I don't like it. Are you a picky eater?
No,
yes, he is. Mark, is he a picky eater?
He's already figured this out.
Yes. So you can't judge that. Robert, you're a picky eater.
What's your safe meal? One meal that you're like, okay, this is safe for me to eat.
We got a minute left.
I like tacos.
You got more like 15 seconds.
Rice,
Oh, yeah.
All right. James bites back. Actually, we can't. We got to close out.
Yeah. Well,
top of the hour. Thanks
thank
for coming
you guys
on,
for being
James. Thanks for the reviews. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corgan on Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. We got to go to the break at the top of the hour. Mark, take it away.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda is sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932. Protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
NBC News Radio, I'm Jim Roop. The bill calling for the release of all files related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein on its way to President Trump's desk. The Senate got the House passed bill this morning and immediately threw it over to the president for his signature. Trump said he will sign the measure once it reaches his desk. A new poll shows a significant majority of American voters are leaning toward electing Democrat candidates in next year's midterms. According to the latest Marist poll, when the respondents were asked which party candidate they're more likely to vote for in their congressional district, Democrats had a 14-point advantage over Republicans. Democrats are taking aim at private donations for construction at the White House.
We're building a world-class ballroom.
A bill was introduced by Senator Elizabeth Warren and Congressman Robert Garcia in response to President Trump asking for private donations for a White House ballroom. It looks to restrict the president from soliciting donations and keeping the donors' names from being displayed. Jim Roop, NBC News Radio.
This segment sponsored by our friends at the all-new Sammy's Restaurant. Sammy's is now open in Calamasa at exit 88 off the 10 freeway next to the Jack in the Box in the former Bob's Big Boy restaurant. Not to name drop, but Sammy's in the former Bob's is a lot like Norm's. It has an extensive menu with multiple restaurants in Rialto and places like Upland and Rancho Cucamonga. Sammy's is a great place to dine. Their menu is very similar with their American trio of delicious steak, shrimp, and chicken and an expansive menu. You won't go hungry and you won't go broke at Sammy's. You can come meet Sammy and his family. Sammy was a chief cook for Norm's for years, and it shows in his menu. Sammy's is a great place to meet the family, friends, or have a community meeting. You can ask about their private meeting room, available for parties of 15 or more on a first-come, first-served basis. Sammy's is now open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. every day at 540 Sandalwood Drive off of exit 88 at the 10 freeway in Calamasa. Look for the Big Boy statue. It's still there. We thank Sammy for returning to this station as a loyal sponsor. You can find more info about Sammy's at sammyscafe.net. That's sammyscafe.net, where you can also find discount coupons to save money. And by the way, Sammy's has free Wi-Fi too. Sammy's in Calamasa, Rialto, or one of their other locations are ready to serve you. Sammy's is now open in Calamasa.
Are you looking for a good union job? The Inland Empire's 14,000-member-strong Teamsters Local 1932 has opened a training center to get working people trained and placed in open positions in public service clerical work and in jobs in the logistics industry. This is a new opportunity to advance your career and raise standards across the region. Visit 1932trainingcenter.org to enroll today. That's 1932trainingcenter.org.
It's that time of year again. No, not the holidays. Medicare open enrollment. And if you have questions about Medicare, you should talk to the local experts, Paul Barrich and Associates. Paul and his agents are certified with plans that are accepted by most of the medical groups in our area. Call 909-793-0385. That's 909-793-0385. Their services are free, and after 43 years in the business, their agents are trained to help you pick the plan that's right for you. Now, here's a new concept: digital network advertising, where businesses display your ad inside their building. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, your company is going to thrive with digital network advertising. Choose your marketing sites or jump on the DNA system and advertise with all participants. Your business ad or logo is rotated multiple times an hour inside local businesses where people will discover your company. Digital network advertising. DNA, a novel way to be seen and remembered. Digital network advertising with networks in Redlands and Chaikof. Call in the 909 area 222-9293 for introductory pricing. That's 909-222-9293 for digital network advertising. One last time, digital network advertising. 909-222-9293.
For KCAA 1050 AM NBC News Radio and Express 106.5 FM, the San Bernardino City Council has approved 2 loans totaling about $4 million to support the development of the E Street Veterans Apartments project for a 3-story, 30-unit affordable housing community for homeless and at-risk veterans. The $27.5 million project will also provide other supportive services such as food, hygiene supplies, transportation, and a career service center. Construction is projected to be completed by the end of 2027. Leading the project is the nonprofit U.S. Vets. The nonprofit will repay both loans to the city concurrently over a 55-year period under terms approved by the council. The remainder of the project's costs will be covered by a combination of non-city loans, donations, and tax credits. There is a new light display that's brightening the nights at the Big Bear Alpine Zoo. The Big Bear Alpine Zoo has been transformed into a winter wonderland. The Alpine Zoo Wild Lights include 1.8 million lights. The walk-through attraction will glow through January 4th. Ticket sales will fund the zoo's wildlife rehabilitation program and Care for Big Bears conservation program. Guests may also catch some zoo animals such as mountain lions, foxes, raccoons, skunks, ring-tailed cats, owls, coyotes, wolves, and bears. The zoo is located on Moon Ridge Road in Big Bear Lake. There's also photo opportunities and seasonal treats at the Moon Ridge Coffee Company Zoo Cafe. The event runs Wednesdays to Sundays from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Tickets are $20 and free for members of the zoo and children under 5. For NBC News Radio, KCAA 1050 AM and Express 106.5 FM, I'm Lillian Vasquez, and you're up to date. KCAA, keeping California alert and aware.
Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary, Treasurer, and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
We're back. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan on the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. Longtime organizer, first-time radio host. And don't forget, radio show at teamsters1932.org if you want to email. We love the live interaction. We obviously, on the earlier part of the show, if you were listening and you heard the live interaction to a degree that Katrina Cato called in and she got her sweater. So what I saw up here is after I called it, Katrina called within like 2 seconds, but called her business agent, didn't call the number that was on there. Then she ultimately called the number and was able to get her sweater. So Katrina, thanks for listening in live. Thanks for calling in live. And that's why we do our live shout outs, is we're recognizing not only those that are listening in live, but also the interaction. And we're enjoying that. So make sure you email us, make sure you communicate. We know kind of what's going on so that we can either keep doing the cool stuff that's working or stop doing the stuff that you don't like. And hey, if you don't like a guest or you don't like someone that's been on, let us know. We'll make sure we stay away from that kind of stuff in the future. Or maybe we'll add it because more people will tune in because they want the content. Anyway, we actually don't have a show like that. Our next part of the show is our Teamster Advantage partner that we have from Premium Custom Tailoring Alterations. And, as you all have heard me say before, the Teamster Advantage program that we have at Local 1932 is my favorite program that we built because the interaction that we've created with small business and the promotion of small business, just like even here right now, we got a small business owner coming in on the show. We're not obviously charging you to advertise or come in. We just want to make sure that everybody recognizes and understands small business is a part of the community and they're hardworking people that are doing as much as they can to raise their family, middle class that are doing the best they can to get the kids to soccer practice or school and all that good stuff, but also, pay the bills and hopefully, go on vacation every now and then maybe retire at some point. So, our Teamster Advantage program has led us to participate in almost 30 chambers of commerce across the Inland Empire. We obviously have a partnership with more than 1,000 small businesses, and we encourage our members to utilize the Teamster Advantage app, utilize the system where our partners, whether they have a restaurant or in this case, a tailoring alterations business, use your small business versus using one of the big corporations that are obviously getting tax breaks. Because, every small business owner I talk to, they don't get the same tax breaks that the corporate interests get. So really appreciate that small business owner and what you do. Marissa, right?
Yes.
Marissa, thanks. We got to get a little closer to that mic. You have Premium Custom Tailoring here in the city of Colton, right?
Yes.
And you're a small business owner and you're working your tail off trying to make this happen. Instead of me talking about your business, why don't you talk about what you do?
Well, it is in the name. So I do custom alterations at a premium level. And I try to just meet the client where they're at, so at a fair price. But also, of course, meeting me where I'm at for the work and labor. But yeah, I do about everything. What sets my business apart, I think, is that it's not just where you can take bridal or just suits. It's everything: bridal, suits, jeans, sweats, jacket repairs, zipper repairs. I do it all.
Yeah, so you don't have to throw away that pair of pants or that jacket or, that outfit or whatever. Actually bring it to you and you're going to fix it, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
So can you make a big fat guy like me look skinny with the right tailoring?
I knew he was going to do that.
That's what tailoring is, right? You go in and, it's like, make me look like all chiseled and young,
I can definitely make the clothes fit you just right. Yes.
I'll be right over.
You're right. All right. Let's get the wardrobe together and roll over there. So I think you offer a discount, right, for our members that if they're going to utilize the services?
Yes. It is a 10% discount. I have not gotten anyone to come in, but I'm waiting for the day. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hope that somebody here needs some tailoring and needs some of these services and that they're listening and we'll be able to get them connected to you. And if not, we'll keep plugging at it and making sure that we're notifying everybody that you're there and hopefully somebody will be able to make the connection at some point.
Yeah.
You got any funny stories? You got to have some funny stories being a tailor.
Tailoring?
Anything interesting? I always ask this. It
Let
catches
me
people off
see.
guard, and I say, "Do you got a funny story?" Because believe me, we've heard some crazy stories.
I just don't want to offend anyone, but I
I
think I
doubt that the
have a
person you might
funny.
offend is listening. I doubt
Okay.
that.
I hope so. No, yeah, this one's pretty funny. This one was a first. This was back when I was working from home, and I was doing alteration for a dress that had not been washed. I believe it was worn already, but needed some fixing. Anyways, had a little bit of smell to it, and I just at that point I remember thinking I'm gonna need some gloves. And yeah, I just kind of, that was the first time ever I wore gloves while altering, just because I'm a little weird. I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. So yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. I haven't had that happen again, but thinking about it always kind of cracks me up a little bit. That's why I didn't want to offend anyone.
Well, I seriously doubt they're listening. So,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't know if they were the one anyway, because I'm sure you didn't say anything to them.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Did not do that.
As long as you don't say their name on the air, I think you're safe.
Oh yeah, no, I would not do that.
Anything else you want to talk about your business?
Oh, you know,
How long you been doing it?
since 2022, I lost everything, kind of just stumbled into it. Always did sewing, always loved sewing, always did clothing alterations, custom garments. But after COVID and after a physical accident I had, I ended up just starting to do this to make the money, and it was all from home. And then it just grew extremely fast, and enough where I had to kind of step out in faith, rent out a little studio. If you're familiar, it's just like a little, it was actually now, was a 280 square foot room. And I just put all my tools in there, all my equipment. And it kind of just started from nothing, went into that. And now I'm in a 1,360.
So anybody that doesn't know dimensions,
Yeah.
that's essentially a 10 feet wide by 28 feet long room. That's
pretty small.
pretty small. It fits a car in it.
Yeah. Only
It's
a
about
car.
the size of a single car garage.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, again, it just grew tremendously, and thank God for that. And now I'm at a place where the workload is there, and I'm realizing how much of just one person I am. And I have a lot of clients now that return back to me, and I'm at a place where I'm like, okay, either I'm extending their turnover or I really need to hire somebody. So just hired my brother. He's in charge of bookings. Shout out to my brother, Anthony. And yeah, and now I'm just managing fittings and all the tailoring until I can get some hands on deck.
I'm assuming you do a lot of wedding dresses.
I do a lot of wedding
That's
dresses.
got to be cool. You know, you get to obviously meet the bride ahead of time, and you got to do a couple fittings, right?
Yes.
And so you kind of get to go a little bit on that journey with them. That's pretty cool.
Yes. Actually, wedding dresses are one of my favorites. The process is really slow, but it's really worth it in the end, especially when you see your client in what they had envisioned for themselves. It's really sweet.
Yeah. I'm assuming, probably not always, but a lot of times not only you do that, you do like the bridesmaids or maybe the groomsmen too. So you kind of get the whole, so you get to kind of meet everybody.
Yes.
And then, so do you ever get to connect to them after the event?
Yes,
That's
I
good.
do. Yeah, some of them come back, and it's really sweet.
So do they bring it back? Because I know that you could bring like the wedding dress back for it to be sealed. Do you do that part of it?
No, I don't do that part of it. Yeah, I don't know what they do with their dresses after, but I've had clients come back to me and get anything else altered. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up this part of the show? It's your show. You got the live mic. Thousands of people in the Inland Empire are listening to you right now, and you get to, as long as you don't say anything bad.
Yeah,
he's got a button over there. He can dump you.
Okay. Yeah, if I do, dump me, please. No, honestly, it's really nice to serve my community. It's really nice to meet everybody. Something I plan to do to help out the community in the future is set up a program where for people and families in need that maybe they can't afford alterations, they could be costly. I want to set up a program where, somebody else can either pay for part of or even all the alterations, and then I can call that person up and say, hey, someone in your community stepped in, helped
nice.
you out, and your son, your daughter, yourself can come in and get their garment altered. So that's something exciting. Another thing exciting to help serve my community is I want to teach people to sew. It seems like there's not a lot of people that have this skill. And
It's a
so
lost art.
it seems that way. And I really want to help bring it back to life and hopefully through the community as well. So if you guys are
Do you
out
make
here,
quilts?
you know what? No, I've never made a quilt. I make blankets, but
Made
not a
blankets?
quilt. Quilts are they're a little bit more work.
Somebody had a quilt made out of a bunch of t-shirts, had t-shirts over the
Yeah.
years and put them all together, and then had this, obviously a quilt made out of t-shirts. So I know
Yeah.
there's a few people that want that. And then I have something here. Can she repair my canvas patio table cover? I'm not sure what the canvas patio
I need
table
to
cover.
see it. Most likely I can do some repairs. But yeah, I would need to see that for sure. I've done patio sets before.
Robert, that's what you were pointing at, right?
Sherry's.
Yeah, Sherry's. Okay, cool. Yeah. Sorry, anything else you want to cover before we?
I think, it's been a pleasure to serve my community. I don't know what else.
You probably ought to give Marcos a shout out.
Oh, yes, Marcos. He came in. That was my first Teamster, I will say.
So you did have a Teamster.
I did have a Teamster.
I didn't want to interrupt you,
what?
but yeah, you did.
So you can't come on here and say we didn't
yeah.
when the whole connection was Marcos.
We all missed it.
Marcos Horrell.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to Marcos. I appreciate you. He has not stopped by since, but hopefully he will.
I think he will because he's listening right now.
Yeah, I did a few patches for him on I think it was a jean jacket. It was a Teamster inspired jacket. And
Well, now we know who can do our patches.
Yes,
Exactly.
I do patches for the Marines. I do patches for a lot of the men in
You
uniform.
definitely got business coming to you.
Yeah.
What's happening is we're talking, things are clicking for us.
Yeah.
Like,
Yay.
Because what happens is you just don't think about. Sometimes we don't make the connection.
Same, I know.
Duh, this
Yeah.
is what she does. Hello, we got patches. We can put them on our jacket.
Yeah, definitely.
So with that being said, I noticed on your website that you do have openings. Why don't you tell everybody where to go to get the info for that?
Yeah. So if you'd like to schedule an appointment, you can visit my website at premiumcustomtailoring.com. There you'll see my available hours. I'm actually tuning up the scheduling or booking system that's on there. But yeah, by the end of this week, you should be able to schedule yourself in for a fitting. If not, I can help you always over the phone. And my phone number is there as well. And you can find me on social media. I try to post on Instagram and TikTok at Premium Custom Tailoring. So if you just want to take a peek at my work.
I put all your info on our Facebook page today on the Teamster Advantage page.
Cool.
So you can go over there and share it if you'd like.
So I got a tailoring question. So,
Okay.
Us old guys, our weight goes up and their weight goes down and all this stuff. So, let's say I come in, you tailor, you take my pants and you trim them down. Can you take them back out when I gain weight back?
Coming. Yeah, actually,
does that
try
work?
to save the material. So
when you save it, you save it in a fold? Or?
I save it in a fold.
Interesting.
But if I can't, then there's always alternatives where we can add in, I call it a gusset. It's like a fancy way of saying like a pizza slice made out of fabric.
Got it.
So yeah, we can always add gussets. I've done it for many people in jeans.
So some of my suits that I have that are just slightly too small.
Those could probably just be let out.
Really?
Yeah, we probably won't need a gusset. Unless you're talking like 1.5 inches more, then we might have to visit some options.
Huh. Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. I get that a lot, actually. A lot of people don't
easy. I've lost a little weight
realize.
lately, so I'm actually back into something.
No, he did.
me
He's
too.
lost weight. I think he just gave it to me.
That's good.
I did.
I lost 2 pounds today.
Yeah.
Not that this is,
Right.
weight loss.
It's a weight loss conversation. Right.
Yeah. I'm working on that myself. But no, I could definitely help anybody who needs a size down or size up for sure. And that's with jackets too. I've also helped with a suit pant. I added a gusset into a suit pant, which was the first time that came to me. But yeah, I've done a few for that client. He wanted his suit pants. He didn't want to buy new ones, and so he just put gussets in.
Well, thank you for coming on. This is you think, we got a custom tailoring coming in. I don't know if it's going to have a lot of flavor to it, but it turned out to have a lot of flavor. This is good.
This was new for me. Sorry if it was a little dry, but
No, not at all. You did great.
Thank you. I appreciate being on and being invited on.
And
was awesome.
we appreciate the small business community. We appreciate what you do, especially hearing the story where you're trying to help some people that may not be able to afford certain things. That's what we love about small businesses is that they're always trying to give back. And I think that in our modern environment, corporate America's just got such a grip on things that people have a tendency to overlook small business. And our program, the Teamster Advantage program, is all about promoting small business as much as we can. Can't fix everything for everybody. All we can do is the best to say, hey, it's here, try to use it. And part of it is that the art of tailoring has been lost a little bit. I mean, I'm guilty myself too, is okay, well, don't fit anymore. Do I get rid of it and move on? No, we all have favorite things that we hold on to way too long, and that they shrink on us.
Yeah.
We don't grow, they shrink, right?
Right. Sure.
And you can fix it for us.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So thanks for what you do. Really appreciate you coming on. And we're going to take a quick break, and appreciate the guests that you have in the room too.
Yeah, thank you. My girls are here with me.
Did you want to introduce them real quick?
If I can,
Just say
I
their
have,
name,
okay. I have Melanie. She's the older twin by a minute. And then I have Alessandra. She's the baby twin by a minute. So yeah, I got my twins. They're 12. They, they're part of the reason why I push so hard.
Good.
Yeah.
Does she work you guys too much?
Just started to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
They both shook their head yes at the same time.
Yeah, I'm teaching them.
All right.
Yeah, so
right. Good. Good thing to learn. Well, thanks for coming. Appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan on the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. Take it away, Mark. We're back. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan and the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network. Man, she was great.
Yeah.
She was great. It's funny. You have the conversation and it starts to click those things that people can do that you're not thinking of, like
all of
patches.
a sudden.
For us, patches, we in today's day, we don't know what to do with patches, right? But the reality is we still have tailors and alteration people out there, and here's one sitting right here, and
she's literally across the freeway.
Yeah, she's right here, and so now I know the last time we ordered patches, everybody that we gave the patches to were like, well, who gets the patches done or sews them on, because they want to sew them on their Teamster jacket or another jacket or whatever it is. And anyway, and then I'd always wanted to know, I'd never taken anything into a tailor to ask, can you, when we gain weight, because you have something tailored and brought in, and then you gain weight, how does that work? Where's the material come from? So I don't know. It's interesting to learn that you could actually gain weight and still keep the same clothes.
Just gonna be quiet.
Yeah. Anyway, so hey, we got a couple guests that are coming on here in a few minutes. Really excited to have them over some really amazing progress that's been going on. And but before I get into that, I'm just gonna cover some news until the other guest actually jumps on. I think Christopher, he's waiting in the room right now, so just hang tight until someone else gets on there. And part of it we're actually going to talk about here, this first thing in the news, which is Teamsters call for a hearing on the Delivery Protection Act following comptroller's report. Teamsters and their allies rallied on the steps of City Hall in New York today to demand the City Council have a hearing on the Delivery Protection Act. The rally followed New York City Comptroller Brad Lander's release of a report detailing a safety crisis at last mile facilities, which have been made worse by Amazon's abusive delivery service partner model, their DSP model. Quote, this confirms that what we already knew, in spite of the fact that drivers and warehouse workers are an essential part of our economy. They face some of the most dangerous working conditions in the nation, said Randy Corrigan, director of the Teamsters and Amazon division. I'm not sure who that is. Anyway, funny. See, we don't have the crowd noise to laugh. This is devastating for workers and the communities they deliver to, but we can fight back by banning the DSP model. End quote. The legislation recently reached a bipartisan supermajority of support in the council. It would require companies operating last mile delivery facilities to abide by higher safety standards, obtain license, and directly employ their drivers, putting an end to the DSP model in the 5 boroughs. Man, kudos to New York City. Kudos to those workers in New York that led this drive to make it happen. I'll talk a little bit more about this subject in a minute. I'm going to talk about a couple more news items, and then I'm going to shift to my 2 guests, which I think just finally popped into the waiting room. Kroger Teamsters ratify first contract to avert a strike. More than 140 warehouse workers at Smith's Food and Drug, represented by Teamsters Local 14 in the Las Vegas area, by the way, have overwhelmingly ratified a strong first collective bargaining agreement. The new contract secures significant wage increases, better wages, and stronger workplace protections. Quote, these workers became Teamsters in January and never let up on demanding what they were rightfully owed, end quote, said Jason Gately, Secretary-Treasurer of Local 14. Jason's a great guy. He's been an organizer for many, many years. He's now the principal officer of Local 14. Great job, Jason, and it's good to see those workers not only have organized, but they've also got their first contract, and it's a great first contract. The 3-year agreement delivers a 20% wage increase, enhanced health care coverage, and a defined benefit pension plan. So what a game changer for workers to go from clearly not having a defined benefit to now having a clear defined benefit, which is a very secure and good retirement plan. It also guarantees a 40-hour work week, stronger seniority rights, and includes pick and line protections. So great job, Teamsters Local 14. I will cover some of the rest of this news after, now that we have all of our guests in the waiting room. Let's get them up, split the screen, do all that good stuff, technologically speaking. Let me move this over so you can actually see me. Mr. Rosario, is that you on the screen there? We can't hear him. Is he muted? We probably have you muted. Christopher, you there?
Yes, hello, I'm here.
All right. Well, no slight on you, Christopher, but I happen to know Rosario over there for a long time, and I get to see his face. Look at him. He's got his shirt on. It's good to see you, brothers. Really appreciate you coming on the show. And hey, do you guys listen live in New York to this show?
Sometimes, absolutely.
What do you mean
Great show.
sometimes? You're supposed to say yes all the time.
I will start because listen, what is it they say? Long time listener, first time
Caller.
caller. Yeah.
Right, long time listener, first time caller. Right, it's how I stole that tagline, and that's why I say long time organizer, first time radio host.
It works.
Anyway, so why don't you two introduce yourselves, Christopher? Why don't you introduce yourself first, so all of our listeners and viewers know who you are.
Cool. My name is Christopher Torres. I am a driver out of the IL7 Skokie facility. And I've been, working with Teamsters for about a year and a half now. So, kind of like you, Randy, I'm more of an organizer and then less of a, on a call.
Right. No, we got you, brother. Rosario.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Antonio Rosario. Most of my colleagues call me Tony. I'm a 31-year Teamster out of Teamsters Local 804. I started as a um, preloader loading UPS trucks in 1994. I experienced the 1997 strike, Randy. I mean, it was pretty amazing. I was about 23 years old, 20 when I started, 23 years old during the strike, when 185,000 UPS workers hit the streets. It was one of the most profound experiences in my life. And from that point on, you start realizing what real collective power is. And that was my career, starting as a young UPS worker. Went on to package, did a couple jobs inside, then finally got up to package, delivering boxes, and then later on in my career went back inside, and I started helping the warehouse workers inside, became a shop steward, and then there was a guy named Randy who was talking about creating some kind of Amazon division, and my number kind of got punched. There was somebody going around to the local union halls talking about this threat to Amazon, and I saw it as something that I wanted to be a part of. From listening to her name was Liana Dalton speak about the dangers of Amazon and the threat it was to our industry, I knew it was something I wanted to get involved in right away. At that point, I was already in my late 40s, and I was like, this is something I want to get involved in. And I've been part of this movement ever since. And I tell you, it's life-changing. It's changed my life, and it's been pretty unbelievable the amount of work that we've been able to do together, the whole division as a whole over the last 3 to 4 years. It's been pretty amazing.
Yeah, I got to just tell a quick funny story, Tony. A couple years ago, he was out here. We had a meeting here in San Bernardino at the office, the building, and he goes through my office and he actually sees a picture of me from 1997. And he's like, is that from the UPS strike? But he doesn't recognize it's actually me in the picture because I had hair, right? So, yes, absolutely remember that 1997 strike. It's great to hear you reference that. But also an equally empowering moment was the strike of the Amazon workers last year as well. And just amazing to watch what these workers did last year. And secondarily, what it's now shifted into, which is the reason that the two of you are on the show, is to talk about how the Delivery Protection Act and now elected officials are stepping up to the plate because they saw workers take on the boss, walk off the job, withhold their labor last year, and are immediately putting into place policy to protect those very workers in the communities in which they work. So great job, everybody. First of all, let me just say in the Chicagoland area, which is Skokie, for those of you who don't know your geography, at least in Illinois, and in New York, these two individuals has been doing a tremendous job of helping workers, empowering workers, mobilizing workers, motivating workers to take on one of the biggest, greediest corporations in the world. And it's just such an inspiration to see these workers continue to do the things they're doing, and then to see elected officials following along and stepping up to the plate and start to do what they should have done this for a lot of years. I'm not going to beat them up on that right now. It's great to see now that at the local level, policy to protect workers. Man, great job, all of you. Great job to all the workers you're working around. Christopher, would you like to say anything on that before we get rolling?
Um, yeah, kind of, it's been pretty inspirational being a part of this movement. It's I'm kind of newer to this whole experience. Um, and so being introduced to it has really kind of shined the light on me to, kind of show others in my age group, right? It's like we're the ones who can make a change, right? And I've been a part of this not just as a worker, but also being on the ground. Working towards pushing this ordinance here in Chicagoland area. It's really important that we get the protections that we need and hold Amazon accountable for how they run their business.
Yeah, this exploitive business model, this incredible disaster of a super wealthy, super rich company with plenty of means to make sure workers have better working conditions and better pay and better benefits, that they would fight, first of all, saying they're not our employees, even though they're branded Amazon everywhere, right? And then second, that it's so good to see elected officials now realize you have the ability to create policy locally to make a difference and not depend on a federal bureaucracy or another part of the government to get something done. You can take care of them in your backyard. What do you think about that, Tony? And also to see the progression of this, right? To see the workers organize, throw down, make some things happen, and to now see elected officials say, hey, because at first the elected officials went, "What can we do?" So then we say, "Hey, this is what you can do," and then to go do it, and now see a super majority. When do you ever get a super majority of any elected body to line up behind workers like this? Just powerful.
It is actually, for me, the experience has been profound. And it's not even like I know I get a lot of praise for some of the work I do, but Randy, it's the workers make it so easy. They are so fired up because of everything they've been through. When you think about these workers and you hear them speak, Latrice Johnson, Luke Renee, when you hear them speak, and you feel it here, that they are going through it, and they will do whatever it takes to not only help themselves but help their coworkers and keep the public safe, because they know how important it is. And for them to be able for these politicians to hear these stories, they're compelled. They are compelled to be a part of it and do something. It's the workers are pulling them. They're like, this is what you need to do. This is what we're going through. You need to help us, and the great part is that they just keep pushing and pushing. These workers will not stop. They are relentless. They are a strong group of individuals that will not back down. And honestly, it's been an honor just to be alongside them, Randy. It's been an honor to stand shoulder to shoulder with them, watch them grow, watch them become who they are, watch them become the leaders that they're meant to be, and really push this thing across the finish line. Like you said, we're talking about a huge majority. We got basically every Democrat in the city council and Republicans to sign on to this. And right now, we're just waiting for a hearing from the speaker, Adrienne Adams, and she really needs to give a hearing. It is time. What is she waiting for? These workers have fought for it. The elected officials have been compelled to join this fight because of them, and it is showing. It is showing in the numbers. Like we always say, right? Strength in numbers. Well, these workers are showing it right now in New York City.
How about Chicago?
Let me hear it, Chris.
I think it's very inspirational hearing this from you, Tony. I think we're maybe a couple steps behind you guys, but we're definitely making the push
That's right.
to, get our politicians, our aldermen to, fall, help us, right? As the workers, and not just as the workers, but the community members as well that this impacts. I had kind of the great experience of being able to talk with community members of areas that have been impacted by Amazon facilities being put up. And most of the time, if not all the time, they're not even aware that, these facilities come up and what kind of changes can occur in their communities. And really, this is something that impacts, everybody, right? Not just workers. So it's very important that we have our politicians, actively speaking up for us as much as we want to speak up for ourselves.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I know you said, "Oh, we're a couple steps behind New York," but in a lot of ways, Chicago's also been ahead of the game on some things, on some in some other areas too, and knowing that you're already working in the same direction that New York is obviously achieved a few more steps in, knowing that there are also a lot more cities across this country doing the very same thing. And we're not going to say who they are. No different than a couple years ago. We didn't say where all the activity was for Amazon workers, right? And then now, last December, people got to see at least what was the open activity, right? Like, and workers took charge and obviously captured the nation's attention by withholding their labor like they did in such a profound way. And then real quickly behind it, seeing elected officials immediately line up and realize we can do something locally. We can make sure that from our position as policymakers in a particular region, we can actually hold this huge corporation accountable. And the key is, I think you both touched on this, the workers staying diligent, sticking to it, and growing, because it keeps growing. 3 years ago, when I'm having this conversation with people and I'm saying it's all over the place, you just don't know where it is yet. So now they know where some of it is. It's actually in a lot more places than what people know now, right? And then now you got policies. You got the state of California that's actually set a policy in place, AB 288. You have the state of New York that put something in place. You have the city of New York. You got the city of Chicago now working on it. You got other cities. Again, my point is it's growing, and it's growing because the workers are taking charge. And I think the two of you pointed this perfectly. It's not just about what the general president or myself or what the Teamsters are doing. It's what the Teamsters are doing that are the workers, that these drivers are taking control of their future. They're stepping up. They're demanding that this employer be a responsible employer in this industry. And then they're turning around and challenging their elected officials to create policy to protect them. And it is the most beautiful thing to see as an organizer doing this job for over 30 years and helping clearly tens of thousands of workers, go down this pathway. To see workers on such a massive scale succeed, then pull elected officials along, see laws now go on the books to actually protect those very workers who are asserting their rights, and then to see the public support it, to see votes go in favor of them. Like, it's just incredible, and it's challenging. This isn't easy. This is very, very tough work, and seeing the workers just every time step up to the plate, it's got to be an inspirational story to every Teamster out there, every union worker, every non-union worker, anybody that's got to punch a clock every single day. What are your guys' thoughts on that? You can
I just like to say one of the first things that always comes to mind is nothing worth doing is going to be easy. And so to that point, yeah, this might be hard, right? But it's a fight that has to be taken on. And the more we have politicians and policy makers, supporting us, this is how we make things, change for the better.
Tony.
I would just say that right now, when we were at that rally the other day, the city comptroller put out some statistics that are just insane. Like 78% of nearby areas saw more injury causing crashes. These workers are overworked. They have these unbelievable quotas that they're trying to reach. The training is this bill has so much in it that's going to help these workers. This is why these workers stood together, because they saw that this bill, and it's not just for the drivers, this is also helping the warehouse workers. the retaliation language that's in this bill to protect workers that are organizing. The fact that now to open a last mile facility here in New York City, you have to get a license. And if you are found breaking the law, like the union can come and sue you. These are all such important things. And when these workers, when we got together and we were reading this stuff and we were like, oh my God, this was something they were going to fight tooth and nail for. And it's unbelievable to see, training from an independent organization so that these workers are probably trained, whistleblower protections, strong enforcement by being able to sue when New York City itself is not doing or paying attention to what's happening. We can come in and show them and actually fight this. So there are so many things to this bill. Again, watching these workers at the rally and speak to the things that are important to them. When I hear Latrice Johnson say that when she came home from work and she was tired and she looked into her daughter's eyes and she knows that she has to keep fighting for her. These are the things, man. These are the things that make this kind of work so not only inspirational, but just so rewarding. And we're really helping change lives. These workers are fighting to change lives. And when you hear about the accidents that are happening out there and the injuries that they're suffering, you know that they care about their coworkers. They're being told to drive in broken vans with broken mirrors, a door. We literally had a video of a door. A picture of a door flying off a vehicle. Where's the public safety in that? They care about the public safety of the people in their communities as well.
Yeah, and then Amazon's got their brand all over the side of it. Now, mind you, this isn't just Amazon. Everybody, every business, and the business community is going to come out and say, "Oh, this is terrible." You're right. For you, it isn't good. It's just for workers, man. Like, you make a ton of cash. You're one of the wealthiest people on the face of the planet 10 times over. Like, the reality is you can afford to do things better. You can afford to do things right. And then Amazon, even though their name's plastered all over everything, says, that's not our van. That's not our van. That's not our van. That's not our driver. That's not our this. That's not our that. Like, you're just scratching your head going, this makes no sense that you think you can get away with this business model. And they're going to try to hide behind a bunch of legal loopholes and try to hide behind this and hide behind that. And the reality is the one thing that's going to constantly keep them in check is the workers doing exactly this, because it's the workers that demanded change at the local level, and it's the local officials who then stepped up and created that policy because the workers did the action. The workers made it happen. Yeah, our organization absolutely stepped in and used our political influence to move things around. But that becomes absent if the workers aren't doing the work that they're doing on the ground. The workers are leading this charge. The workers are the face of this charge. Millions of people in this country are following Amazon workers across this country, watching their videos, seeing the marches on the boss, seeing what they're doing. Matter of fact, tomorrow you're going to see a march on the boss. You heard it here first. You're going to see one happen live tomorrow somewhere in this country. I'm not saying where. It's just going to happen. And when you see the press release come out, it'll happen. Point is that workers all over the country are willing to do this. They are doing it, and it doesn't continue to grow without these workers being inspired to do it. And again, they're feeding off of what the other group did. Christopher, you got anything to add to that?
I just think this is all, incredibly important and beneficial for us. Like you said, it's empowering the workers, and we need worker protections and really show our workers' rights. Like you said, Amazon kind of dictates a lot of the stringencies of what the job entails, whether it's your pay, your route, even safety, right? And a lot of the times, um, it's not really held accountable for, like Antonio said, all of the accidents that end up happening, the broken down vehicles that we end up having to use, the equipment that may or may not be present that day when you load up your vehicle. All of these things need to be held accountable for, not just for ourselves, but on these corporations like Amazon that want us to hit the quotas that they want us to.
Tony, got anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just kind of going back to what you were saying, Randy, the part of the bill that talks about the third party contracting, It's so important because it's holding Amazon accountable to its employees. No more, like you said, can they skate around the fact that these drivers are wearing their uniforms, driving in their vans, delivering their packages, and then you're going to try to pretend like they don't work for you. They fire them whenever they want. Amazon is in control of the firing and the hiring as well. Like, how do you have your claws so deep into this delivery service partner that you call it, or provider, and then say that they don't work for you? These workers are no, this is a sham, and they're standing out in front of this, and that's the most inspiring part, that they know it's a sham. And this isn't just for the drivers too. The warehouse workers also know what's going on, and they want that language for retaliation for the whistleblower stuff. They also want to know that people that are working in the building are not just some third party worker, an independent workforce that they're bringing in to help. It's actually Amazon employees. And the flex driving, that's just a whole nother thing. Like, come on. If you work for Amazon, you work for Amazon. That's it. Stop trying to play this game. It's a Ponzi scheme, and the workers are tired of it.
You know what I think we got to point out here in this moment is recognizing the fact that part of this entire strategic approach to dealing with this company was utilizing the fact that the visibility of the brand of Amazon workers would uplift the struggle in which they're going to a level in which other workers could relate to it. In other words, okay, well, I recognize that name. I recognize that work. I see it. It may be delivering packages to my house, right? And then to part of the entire strategy is to look at local elected officials and say, it's time you step up. Don't just dump the responsibility on the NLRB. Don't dump the responsibility on the DOL, the DOT, or a federal agency, because clearly that stuff's not working right now. There's a dismantling of our government in those spaces for workers right now. Aside from that, the reality is local elected officials, if you work and live in the community, you have the ability to do this, and you not just have the ability, you have the responsibility. And what these Amazon workers are doing are showing millions of other workers in the country that they can do the same thing too, that they can be inspired to do something very similar and benefit from this work. They just have to join the movement and recognize that they have the ability to do direct action, catch the attention of their community, partner with them, create the policy, and then withhold your labor and make sure that you get a good union contract in the end.
That's right, Randy.
So, any closing comments? Chris, Tony?
Chris, you go first.
I think, like you've been saying a lot, Randy, it's just important that, not just people my age or, other workers such as Antonio, we all have to come together, and, we are the life that breeds, into this fire. Um, and, the more we push for it, the more that we believe in ourselves, the more this is going to happen. And, it's not just going to stop in the Chicagoland area or in New York. This is going to keep growing, like you've been saying.
Let me piggyback on that before you go, Tony. You're right. All workers have the ability and have the power. We already have the power. We're just not using it completely yet. We're using it in pieces right now. Amazon workers are using it in parts. The reality is imagine if every Amazon worker just said, all right, man, we're going to withhold our labor until you figure this out, company, until you make it fair. It's over, Johnny. So let's just take it and move it to even broader than that. Let's say the Chicagoland area. All right, well, all workers in the industry are going to withhold their labor until you figure it out, Amazon, right? This is the standard. This is what we're working towards. Let's make it happen. Workers have that power. And in our 200-year history, even before the National Labor Relations Act was created, workers exercised that power, showed that power, won that power, which is why we have any right that we currently have now. And this, in my opinion, is a resurgence of exactly how workers exercise that power. And when workers figure out that ultimately they hold it, they're going to make it happen. Tony?
That's right. That's right. I mean, geez, the only thing I could add to that is that these workers truly care for their coworkers, and not just the ones within their facilities. I'm talking about they care about this movement across the country. They care about their environment, because a lot of this has to do with environmental protection as well. When you're in an area like New York or Chicago or LA, and these last mile facilities just popping up everywhere with no type of, policy, without no type of regard for where they're putting them. These people, these are where our children play. In these streets, their children play. This is so important on so many levels. The only thing I could say is that, please, if you're listening out there and you're a community supporter, you're in the community, you're a customer of Amazon, you're paying attention to what these drivers are going through. If you're a worker at Amazon, join the movement. Please join the movement. You think about all the things that the workers are doing right now to fight for these things. Join the fight. It's so important. Amazon is one of the most powerful corporations in the world, and they're showing it every day by all the egregious acts that they do. Their lack of care for labor law, their lack of care for their employees. So I would just make a plea for everybody to come together and help and protect those Amazon workers. If you're getting packages, think about that when you order it. You see that Amazon worker come to your door, tell them, I heard you guys are unionizing. Good luck, join that fight. And for all those Amazon workers out there listening, you guys know what it is. Join this. This is a movement, and it's going to be big, and you're going to be all the better for it. Your families, your communities, and everyone else.
Yeah. And to that point, I'll just add that when you see that Amazon driver, you see that Amazon worker, you see that uniform, you go up, you shake their hand, you congratulate them on the work that they're doing, you thank them for the work that they're doing, and you recognize that it's an inspiration to see them take on one of the biggest corporations in the world. Both of you, thank you for coming on the show. I got to wrap up the back end of this show. I got just a couple minutes. We're building worker power in the Inland Empire, and I've had obviously Chris and Tony on here to talk about the driver Delivery Protection Act that is passed in, or that's passing in New York with the supermajority right now. Ultimately, it's going to be there. Talking about all this great work that's being done, and all this work is actually worker power that's been built out over time. And the question may be, how do you build worker power? You talk to your friends, you talk to your family, you talk to your neighbors, and you encourage them to organize. And when you have a union contract, you have worker power, and you build towards worker power, and you make sure that whether it's we have the billboards and the radio show and all the different things that we're doing here at the local union, you expand it out and you spread the word, and you make sure you teach others how to build worker power themselves. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan on the Teamsters 1932 Broadcast Network, airing live from San Bernardino. Longtime organizer, first-time radio host. Signing off.
Thanks for having us, Randy.
Thank you, guys.